Okay, so this evening we are taking a look at the Boeing P26 Peashooter in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I'm just going to go and check the volume levels before we go too much further. Yeah, I'm going to turn it right up because it's not the loudest of aeroplanes as far as I'm aware, but we'll recheck again. The big problem with this is obviously I can't hear what you can hear and I'm live. So the only way I get to gauge it is to look at a graph of the sound. So this is the Boeing P26 Peashooter from Aeroplane Heaven. It's actually a 2020 aeroplane that happens to work in 2024. So there has been communication from Aeroplane Heaven. They are looking at 2024, but they're trying to keep a foot in both camps to keep everybody happy, which is really difficult, I know, because that means probably nobody's entirely happy. I guess the 2020 people are super happy because this is a 2020 aeroplane, and it means that they're not being given up on, because lots of other developers have, cut their ties and said we're focusing on 2024 now. Okay, so let's go and have a close look around the airfield, or around the aeroplane. So you can see the quality of the texturing on the liveries is fantastic. You get lots of liveries with it. This is just one of them. So let's go and have a look at the engine in detail. It's crazy, isn't it, the amount of detail they put into these things. And we look at them once or twice, and then we never actually go into this much depth looking at them ever again. We can be really mean here and look through the gap and see there's no engine block. But like I said, we're never going to do this again. We're just going to go fly the aeroplane, aren't we? So it's a little bit disingenuous to go lifting up all of the covers. And this is a very reasonably priced aeroplane as well, I have to say. It's not expensive. But then there's not a lot of functionality in the aeroplane to fiddle with, because aeroplanes of this era don't have a lot to fiddle with. So it's very much stick rudder flying principles. I love the wear and tear in the texturing, that's fantastic. So let's go up and have a look. Something that always strikes me as quite bizarre about this, obviously you can see these braces on the wings to keep them pointing the right way. It's interesting, isn't it? You wouldn't think this stanchion in the middle would be strong enough, but apparently it is. So when you're throwing it around the sky, so the pilot's quite cool. And the cockpit, as you can see, obviously when we go into the normal view, you'll see the cockpit properly without the pilot in the way. But you can see it's very much of its time. Texturing's really good. Most things are clickable and operable, so we'll go through that having a look. So first impressions and a disclaimer, I have flown it once. Just before I started recording, I went and had a look at it and took it for a flight, so it's not going to be completely out of my comfort zone. Actually, should we put some aeroplanes around us on the ground? We are very lonely here, aren't we? Let's go. Excuse me for a moment while we go and populate the world. So I've turned off, but I was using Say Intentions the other evening, which is why we have no aeroplanes around. And let's turn that back to Ultra as well. Save them back and resume. And we have some company. So we're not quite so lonely anymore. Anyway, should we go and jump inside the aeroplane and see how we get on with it? Oh, I can see people are saying some quite amusing things in the live stream comments. To be honest, I'm not a negative reviewer by nature. I will find the positives in things. So I'm just going to take this as I see it, and I've had a fly of it already. It's great fun, and you're going to see that as well. So Shift and X puts us back inside the cockpit. So Shift and Space will straighten us up. The head tracking works really nicely. I'm going to turn it off to have a poke around and show you what we can do within the cockpit. So if we go Oh, I've got the tooltips still on. Let's go turn those off as well. So if we go into flight interface and turn the tooltips to off, save them back and back. Usually I remember to switch that back off again after a first look. So you can see around the cockpit, so we've got the throttle lever and we've got the mixture lever. You've got now this is a combined lever that does both spinning up the, now it would have been hand cranked I think in the real thing, so they've made a few shortcuts here. So yeah, the real thing, I think it would have been here. There should have been a crank handle to spin up the flywheel, and then this would have released the clutch in the real thing to, you know, to bite and spin or turn the engine over. But we don't have that. So there's the battery switch, so we're going to turn the battery on. We've got the mags, so we're going to put those to both. Down here we've got the fuel, which we'll go and put to main. You've got some lights here for instruments and wings, so if we go and turn them on, you're probably not going to see anything in the daytime. We've got avionics. Now this is a bit of a nice little feature. If you turn avionics on, because obviously these are all just pressure operated instruments, and you get a nice little GPS turns up in the bottom corner if you turn on the avionics, which is quite cool I think. So this is the flap lever. If I go and adjust the flaps, you'll see it's winding a gear that will obviously go down through the aeroplane. So if we go do that, it doesn't actually match with what's going on, because you can see they do take a while, which is a bit of a shame. So we'll wind them back up again. I was actually surprised that an aeroplane of this era had flaps, to be honest, because they were invented around the same time this was in between the wars. So I think the Boeing 247 didn't have flaps, I can't remember now. Or maybe it invented or introduced them. Anyway, so if we go and have a look down here. So we've got the fuel quantity. We've got the pressures and temperatures, we've got the manifold pressure, we've got the temperatures there, we've got RPM, altitude, airspeed, normal compass, or sorry, gyro compass, and a magnetic compass. So it's actually a gyro direction indicator then, if you want to give it a proper name. Okay, let's see how we get on with this then. So if I pull this lever back, this will start spinning. So we need to go rich on the mixture, open the throttle a little bit. So we're going to pull this back, and that will spin the propeller. And that's the same deal as somebody cranking the handle. Really, if you go and watch film of this, you should have a load of noise when you're doing this. And then you're going to push it in, and you get flooded with smoke. And I've not quite got it right. So let's give it a bit more welly next time, hey? So spin it up as fast as we can. If you watch videos of the real thing of this, they don't have to give it some effort to do that. And we're going to have the pilot coughing and spluttering. He seems to have survived. So my only misgiving about the aeroplane at all is the sound when you're inside the cockpit. It sounds a bit tinny. It could do with a bit more bass somehow. But maybe that's how it really sounds when you're sat behind the glare shield. Nearly ran away with me then. I had a bit of a panic attack trying to slow it down. This is obviously a fixed pitch propeller, so you do need to be careful. And we're on a lovely flat surface here with, you know, nice paving, where this is really designed for grass fields. But we'll do our best. Okay. Just straighten up and bring it to a halt. And look down here. Should put the avionics on anyway, just because it's available. Put the wing lights on. We'll put the instrument lights on anyway. Okay, let's see how we go, shall we? Knots, 50 knots, bit of rudder. I'm going very gingerly here. Got a little bit of right aileron as well, just to hold it straight. So I'm going to trim the aileron and the elevator on my controller. Chosen a nice crispy cold day to do this. We're at Sanger, by the way, in Illinois. Looks nice, doesn't it? So we'll bring it round and just do a very gentle circuit to begin with. Miles per hour, not knots. Worth remembering that. Given its era, that's not unusual. So it was quite dicey coming off the ground. It was, you know, controlling in 3 dimensions to keep it going in the same direction I wanted it to. Which I think is great. Because there are too many aeroplanes that are dumbed down in my opinion, and this being a little bit dicey on the ground made it good fun. So you can see it's nice and stable, but then that's because I've trimmed it as well. We'll make it decidedly unstable in a few minutes. Let's go and have a look and see what it sounds like. Yeah, so it is quite loud. You'll probably have a job hearing me over it, and I'm having to shout a little bit, so I'm going to turn the sound of the sim down a little bit. So we'll just fly closed pattern and come back in and do a touch and go, and then we'll go and throw it around the sky a little bit and see how it behaves. Okay, it's not losing any speed. So let's go and drop the flaps and see what difference that makes to it. Okay, speed is coming off. I'm presuming, based on how we took off, that we'll lose lift at about 55 knots, or sorry, miles per hour. So I'm bringing the power back in a little bit, just to control it as it gets low and slow. Feeding in backstick, and the ailerons are getting a little bit more dicey, and the rudder is as well. Yeah, it's a handful in that kind of transition between being on the ground and in the air. doesn't quite know what to do with itself. It's quite good fun. So you can see the flaps take a while. So this looks very much like a modern altimeter. I'm not sure if it's period accurate or not. So we're going to get a bit of height and then we'll do some stalls and spins and high rate turns and see how it goes. Oh, we're coming up into the cloud base, aren't we? That's annoying. I'm going to change the weather, because we have the freedom to do this in the simulator, so we can. So we'll go back to a few clouds. I've turned the real weather off because it's pretty horrendous today. Although we'll put it back on towards the end and we'll try some crosswind landings if the wind is appropriate for them. We could go cross country to another airfield. We'll have a look at the runways. I've got a LittleNavMap running in the background, so it should be good fun. We're too far back in the cockpit. Let's go forwards a little bit. We were getting the seat poking through our view. Okay, coming up through 4,000 feet, so we were about 1,000 feet over the ground, weren't we? Above sea level, I mean, at ground level. Should we just check that before we go and do anything too crazy? Elevation, yes, 770 feet, so 800 feet. So I've just noticed something. You'll notice we are travelling west. Now, have I not enabled something here? Or is it stuck? I'm presuming there's something I've missed. Because the magnetic compass is not turning, but the gyro is. That was remarkably stable. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is go and put a bootload, or a handful of elevator in, an armful of elevator. Ready? And look at it, drop a wing and flick roll. But it's very stable coming back out of it, which is good. So we won't get too far away from the airfield. Okay, let's go for a lip, shall we? I'm just looking at the speed. It doesn't like going too fast. So yeah, I'm noticing there's live stream comments about the sound. The sound is my only misgiving. It's just missing that kind of throatiness, isn't it? But maybe if you're sat behind the glare shield in the real thing, you don't hear that. Maybe that's something you only hear from outside, which you can. Oh, it really doesn't like doing that. Okay, let's try a spin. No, it's just going to fall. Oh no, it's going to go. No, but it won't spin. Let's try and force it into it. Nope. It's very, very stable. So we've been flying around here, messing around at Sanger. Let's go and fly over towards Lansing Municipal, shall we? So we want a bearing of about 37 degrees. So I'm guessing there's something I haven't done. Either that or this isn't quite compatible with 2024, or not as compatible as they would like it to be. So Control-Alt-Z. So we did get some gyro drift on the directional gyro. Let's go and take this low, shall we? And fly low across the field to give you something to look at along the way. Should come in low across this field. A nice flat field for us to go roaring across. I wonder what it's like manoeuvring if we go and do an orbit of these trees. Wave to the farmer. It's great fun, isn't it? It likes going fast. I'll give it that. I'm cutting back the power a little bit just to stay away from 200 miles an hour. It doesn't like going too close to 200 miles an hour. I've got an Xbox controller plugged in and that starts vibrating. So they have put some feedback in. I wonder if you can sustain negative or... I was wondering if the engine will die. It's lost all power, but it's continuing to run. Hey, here's the airfield. Well, at least I think it is. We'll double check the map. Not quite yet. Presumably this is the airfield with the hangars. I really like flying old aeroplanes like this. There's something about you being in complete control of the aeroplane and it being your fault. Okay, so we're just going downwind. There's a couple of runways here. It's quite a big airport, isn't it? Let's do a shortened kind of Spitfire approach and see how we get on with that. I have to say, visibility over the front is very, very good. Better than I thought it was going to be. Haven't tried side slipping it or anything like that yet, so we'll give that a shot as well. Down to 90 miles an hour. Feeding back stick in, more and more and more. And we're down. Now, did you see that roll as I opened the throttle? That was good. So someone's asking, is it a wooden prop? It's certainly fixed pitch. I don't know without looking, or without stopping the engine, which I'm not about to do right now. Let's get those flaps back up. It's behaving really oddly. Obviously, at power with the flaps down, doesn't like it. So what sort of turn rate can we get? sustained turn rate. Look at the speed, it's holding 140 miles an hour. No, it isn't, it's losing it, look, 130. Doesn't help that I've got the nose in the air, of course. Pull it harder and harder. Not a full back stick yet. Now I am. Whoa! Tucked under. This is how you find these things out. So it does have its limits. Of course, you can flick roll it all the way around if you're brave enough. Should we do that again? So we said about doing some side slipping, didn't we? So I'll get it lined up for another approach. We'll just go downwind, turn around, and see what it's like in a side slip. So I think, let's just try in level flight. Yeah, we can go about 15 or so degrees off axis. So I'm just basing it on we're flying towards that field. Seems quite stable. Okay, there's the runway. I'm not sure how it will side slip with the flaps. We're about to find out. So if we stay fairly high, only problem being we can't get any vision, although we could side slip to see the runway, couldn't we? So we'll do it. If I sit in one corner so we get to see the speed, we'll stay high. We're doing just above stall speed, look, 60 miles an hour. That's with about 50% throttle. So then we'll cut throttle to idle. We're side slipping and descending, and yeah, it's accelerating, look. So it doesn't scrub too much speed off in the side slip. Not like a Tomahawk might. Okay, so how close are we to Gary International over there? I was just going to say downtown Chicago is quite a long way away, isn't it? It would take us ages at these sort of speeds. So I think we'll just bring it around once more and bring it in for a landing here at Lansing. I think it's really good. The only thing, like I said, is the sound doesn't seem like it's got enough oomph when you're sat in the cockpit, but how do we know that? Who of us have actually sat in a real one behind a glare shield? The outside sound is awesome. So we did have the wing lights on. You can see them here, look. Okay, let's bring it in for a final. Down to 100 knots. One of the wonderful things about head tracking is obviously you can bob to one side or the other to see past obstacles in your way. Should we try and land this from outside? This will probably end in tears because, like I said, it gets very squirrely. But we'll try. Because we have no view of our airspeed, which is not helpful. So we'll end up floating for a while we slow down, I guess. I'll take that. Given my lack of skill with external views, I'll take that every day. So we'll taxi in and stop the engine and have another look around the aeroplane. Whoa, look at that. It's like I said, handful on the ground. You do need to be careful and very gentle. So I imagine the real thing, this is just going to be a caster. So they're simulating with the rudder pedal differential braking to make it easier for everybody. The real thing would have had differential braking on the main wheels. So we're going to park it next to something that we know the size of. Is there any typical GA aeroplanes down here? There aren't really, are there? There's a 337 here. Is that a Bucker Youngman? There's a Vision jet over here. I was hoping to see a Cessna or something so we can get a direct comparison of size. There's a Piper over here. Bonanza of some description. Or is it a P28 maybe? Okay, so if we kill the mixture, nice sound. And the prop kicks back. Very good. So, mags off. And battery off. Obviously we didn't turn the lights off in time there. Turn the fuel off. And we can climb out. So if we go and press Shift and X. I'll turn the head tracking off. And then we can have another little look around it for anybody that wasn't here at the start of the video. So looking at it next to another aeroplane, it's similar size, isn't it, to a modern Cherokee. Is that one of the Cherokee family? I'm not sure which one it is. It's a similar size. Obviously, the engine in the aeroplane next door is a third the size and probably 4 times the power. And it's just got this enormous anvil of an engine on the front. So there you go, it's a metal propeller. It's not a wooden propeller. So I'm not sure what the site is all about. There must be guns hidden down here somewhere. They've obviously got time. Oh, is this them here? I'm guessing. Yeah, that would be where the guns are coming out, wouldn't it? There's obviously... Oh, they have modelled them. If I get the camera just right, you can see the gun down in the barrel down there. Very good. Because you could see them in the cockpit. I don't know if you noticed that. If we go and have a little look. The machine guns are down here, look. With the magazines underneath. Yeah, I think it's great. And, you know, it's a very low-cost aeroplane. It's nice to see aeroplanes of this vintage in the simulator. I don't think there's enough of them. There were quite a lot of kind of inventive designs in the 1930s. It would be lovely to see some of the specials, as they call them, things like Grosvenor House. It'd be lovely to see planes like that in the simulator. But until then, we have aircraft like this from Aeroplane Heaven, so thank you so much to Aeroplane Heaven for putting this one together. I know it's going to have its detractors because it's quite a simple aeroplane, but that doesn't mean it's any less fun to fly. And it's not expensive either. So there we go. The Boeing P26 Peashooter that flew in between the First and the Second World Wars. Very cool. Obviously, as I said, it's designed for, or developed for 2020 primarily, but it is compatible with 2024 because you can see we are flying it in 2024. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you've enjoyed that, and we'll see you again soon.